Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you how to make a simple paper mache puppet. And when I say simple, I mean this is a method that you can teach a kindergartner, first grader, and I hope that that people see this and take advantage of it. Now, what I have in front of me is just about everything that I think that I need. It took me about an hour to set up everything and get everything adjusted. But hopefully I won't have to leave to go get something. But here I am with everything I think I need. Now let's start with the head of the puppet. Now I'm going to make the head, this puppet here, let me put him more into view. Okay, this is a Punch puppet from Punch and Judy. Now, I made this puppet about 23 years ago. And I made this puppet using the method that I'm going to show you. I also made the Judy puppet and the baby puppet using the same method. And so this is what you do. Now I got this from Hobby Lobby, and it's just a styrofoam egg. And so you'll need a styrofoam egg to use this method. Now notice that it has a head shape. A while back I saw a person on Reddit in the papier-mâché forum made a post and said, how do I create this shape? Well, I'm going to show you, and probably tag that person later, how to make a puppet with this shape. Now the great thing about using the foam here is that unlike the more sophisticated method, and maybe in another video I'll show a more sophisticated method, but in this method the foam remains. We won't be taking away or getting rid of the foam. The foam head will remain the base for the puppet. Now, additionally, you will need a piece of PVC pipe. Now, this PVC pipe is 3/4 inch, and it's schedule 20. And you want to get the schedule 20 more than likely, as opposed to the schedule 40, because the schedule 20 is thinner and gives you, it's about the proper size for an adult finger. I suppose if a kid was doing it, they don't, you could use something else that fits their finger, but schedule 40 would probably work for a kid, maybe even a 1/2 inch schedule 20. If you got fatter fingers than me, you probably need a bigger pipe. But this is what I use. Now, after you put this in, you're going to want to sand. This is a little rough, I cut it. So you're going to need a piece of sandpaper to sand, or maybe a Dremel to go around the edge and smooth it up. But this is just a freshly cut piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of pipe here, and I'm going to line it up with the head. Now, I figure the head's going to be about like this. You can see with this one here, let me put it sideways, and it's hard to pull it down, but I've got this, I probably got it at this angle on the Punch puppet. But anyway, I'm just going to take this and put it up there. Now, okay, so I've got it up there, and it's pretty solid. But when I put my finger in, my finger is kind of wobbly. So what I'm going to do is take my finger and then push my finger in, and make that foam go up, and now it fits my finger perfectly. So now I have the head. Next, I'm going to do the, well, I'll put a little depression here for the eye. I'll take my two thumbs, and about midway, I'm going to just kind of press this a little bit so I know where I'm going to make the eyes. Okay, I just made a slight depression. Now, I'm not going to drink this. This is wine. I've already drank it. And I've got a cork on the top. Now, you can just get a piece of wood and drill a hole in it and stick a dowel in and use that. Whoop. You know, and use that. Your wood block, put a hole in it, and then you've got a mount for it. Now, it just so happens that I discovered, because I've made several of these, that a wine bottle with a cork works just fine. So for crafting these. So that's why the bottle's here. And I will make use of it. Okay, so now I know where the nose is going to go. So you can craft the nose in a number of ways. Now, I'm realizing right now that I forgot something, so I'm going to have to go fetch something, but I do have my razor blade here, and I have my tacky glue. Now this is Aleene's, but any sort of tacky glue I suppose will work. And this one, I think you need to cut the top off, cut a little piece off. It's a fresh bottle. I got this at the dollar store for $1.25. So now I'm going to make a nose, and you can see I used a piece of foam or something to make this nose. So I don't know if I want to do the same. I don't necessarily need to do the same thing for a nose. I can be creative here and just do something random, because it really doesn't matter. There's no right nose. Some people don't even have a nose. Now, I've got the thickness I think that I want. So I'm not making a Pinocchio, but you get the idea. I got the piece of foam kind of where I want it. So now I'm going to kind of cut it down. And so I don't know that I need it that big, so I'm just going to work this until I get what I want. I have no plan in mind. I mean, maybe I should have started out and said, let's make a witch or something like that, but I didn't. So I'm making something very basic, and this is going to be fine. What I'm missing here is toothpicks. So I'm going to go get some toothpicks, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with the toothpicks, and you can probably get these at the Dollar Tree. I think I said dollar store earlier. It's just dollar store shut down, but I got the glue at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Now, the way that you do that, wait, excuse me, lest you not think that or forget that I am an artiste, let me put my beret on. Okay, now we can proceed. All right, so get a toothpick out, and this is so simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this nose I know where I want to set it, so I'm pushing it there, and the foam is kind of like, it's got a little indentation now for the shape of the head. I'm going to put some glue here on the foam, and some glue right where I want it to go. In fact, I pushed a little hole in there and filling the hole with glue. Now, not that that's necessary. When I put this glue on, I glue the nose on and center it the way that I want, I'm going to take this toothpick and I'm going to send this toothpick right straight through the nose. Right through the nose and into the body. And then, the foam is pretty malleable, so you could do a little bit of, manipulation with your thumb and on that nose and shape it a little bit. But there it is. The nose is attached. And it's that tacky glue is fast drying, and it'll be ready pretty quickly. So I think now I'll put a chin on it. And for the chin, I do have this little foam ball. Now I could have just made a clown, and I could have stuck that little foam ball as the nose, Or I could, you could make something, a monster, and you can have these little foam balls as the eyes. But I'm going to just cut this little foam ball in half, if I can find the razor, and make it into a chin. So there it is, and there's the chin. Now, I'm going to do the same thing, pressing this, kind of to get it to kind of mold to the, see, I've actually got it right there holding on by itself. Then I'm going to put a little glue on each. Whoop, and stick this chin on. Now, that chin's on pretty good, but I'm still going to use the toothpick. And I'm lining up the chin with the nose to make sure, that it has symmetry, but that's because I have an asymmetric phobia. If you look at folks, there's a lot of things crooked on folks' faces. So I know that because I have an asymmetric phobia. Plus, I've had a lot of crooked things on my face. I've deviated septum and crooked teeth when I was young, and not that they're all together straight now. But I like it to be symmetrical, but that's because, for this, but then for some puppets it doesn't need to be symmetrical, that's for sure. So another toothpick, but this one's a lot shorter, so I'm just going to take that toothpick and, cut it, break it in half, not quite half, stick it right through the center and up into the foam. I'm using this. I didn't intend this to be a tool, but it's a little bit easier on my fingers. And so there I go. And now, here I have uplifted cheeks, if you notice. I'll maybe have to do a close-up of this fellow, but I do have uplifted cheeks on him. And there's a lot of ways to do the uplifted cheeks. But since I'm doing this and wanting to make it really basic, I'm not going to go a whole lot further than this, because a lot more is achieved in painting, and then like in photography, post-processing. Once this thing is ready, as far as when I say ready, once it's got the paper mache on it and the basic head is formed, there's lots of ways to do those cheeks. So, but I'm trying to make this very basic so that, like I said, a kindergartner or a first grader can do this without too much difficulty. But I'm going to maybe show you some things along the line that are a little bit more, beyond first grade. But I've got the basic, shape here that I want. I think it looks good. I think I will put ears on it, okay? Because I could put the ears on later, but it's kind of a little bit convenient to put the ears on now. I have big ears on this fella, and I could make bigger ears. To make bigger ears, I'd have to use a bigger ball, and I do have a bigger ball, but I don't know if I want bigger ears. Do I want bigger ears? Maybe I just make, you know what, I think I do want bigger ears. So here we go. I'm going to use this ball here and make some bigger ears. Come on back here. All right. All right, here we go. We cut this in half. And then cut this in half again. And now I have substantially bigger ears. So, you'll get a close-up of this later. Unfortunately I just got one camera on this. But anyway, I'm going to put this on just the same way that I did the others. I'm going to kind of press it onto the head and kind of get it to, form with the head, because that's what the foam does. I'm just going to put it, I'm kind of lining it up with the nose and the eyes, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to get another toothpick and send that straight in. And that toothpick, really strengthens the whole deal, I'm telling you. So now you see, got an ear over here. I'm going to put the ear over there. And I could trim this ear down later. It's going to get bigger too, because I am going to paper mache this. So, everything that you see here is going to be a little bit bigger. But that's okay, because this is theater, and in theater, everything's exaggerated, usually, for effect. So let me put the other ear on. Maybe I should do this with a, with the camera showing the close-up. But, I just didn't set up to do it that way. But I could see where, if you as the audience are seeing this close-up, it's going to be a lot, more, I think, informative, or, easier to follow. But hopefully you get at least get the idea here. If I waited for everything to be perfect, there's a scripture in the Bible, it's in the Old Testament, I don't remember where it is, but basically says if you wait for the conditions to be perfect, you'll never get anything done. But that's my paraphrase. It's in Ecclesiastes or Proverbs or Ecclesiasticus, I can't remember. But the fact is that I'm the kind of person who likes to have everything perfect, but then you know, it's just a lot. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you're not going to get anything done, and that is the truth. But I see people that, you know, I've watched behind the scenes in some of these videos, like cooking videos, and I'm like, damn, you know, they got the pan, and the pan is cut in half so that you can see into it. But you know, when they're doing the video, you're not seeing the pan cut in half. You're just seeing what's in the pan. But I mean, they're going to great lengths to, you know, because that's what theater does. And then there's a lot of AI being used today, as you know. It's a big thing, and I use a little AI myself, but I don't know. It's conflicting. My generation, going back to the 60s and 70s, I mean, one of the things we were my generation rebelled and became counterculture to a lot of the stuff that was happening, including the war that we had going in Vietnam. A lot of us just were not like down with, you know, the war. Didn't even understand what it was about. So my generation, you know, was very counterculture. And today, yeah, and I'm not seeing it so much. People are like more like going with the culture, and some of it's, I don't think, healthy. All right, well, that's, you know, just my thoughts. Here's the head. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this with paper mache. And I'm going to use this. This is Clay instant paper mache. Now, you know, I don't know what this costs today. I probably paid, well, it's got the price on it back down here. I paid $21.99 for this when I bought it, okay? And I bought it in, it's actually got the date on it. I bought it in January of 1999. So I've had this for a long time. Pretty sure that's the date. Let me think. When I made the puppets I made this puppet, it was 24 years ago when I made this puppet. So that would be almost right. So maybe it was, you know, produced in 99, but yeah, I made this puppet and several puppets. You see 3 of them here, and several others, all with this bag, okay? And this is 20 years later, 24 years later, whatever, and I still got probably 3/4 of the bag. So now what you do is you take this clay, and I mix them up already. You just mix it with water, and you get this clay, and then you just take this clay here, and I don't even know if I've mixed enough because I haven't done this for so long. And you take this clay and then you apply it like so to your puppet. Head. And kind of smooth it out. And I mean, look, this is how I'm showing you because it's so easy and it's so quick. And if you want to do this with some kids, like some, you know, 5-year-olds or whatever, and you have a limited amount of time, because time is of the essence, you know, if you're in a class or whatever, you're going to want to have this, something like this, because it goes so fast. Now, traditional paper mache, you would be taking strips of paper and you'd be layering it. And, you know, I love traditional paper mache, don't get me wrong. But I'm showing you this, and not, you know, maybe I'll do another video where I make some traditional paper mache puppets. And I have some here that in my office that you know, if you see them, you see that they're much more sophisticated than this. There's a lot more work that goes into making those, and you can tell. Not that these are bad. I mean, when kids are making puppets and they look really crude, it's like kids' art. I mean, that's what makes it cool. Me, like here I am, like I said, making the nose and everything all symmetrical because that's how I am. But what I really like is I really like seeing like the kind of things that kids would make that are that lack the symmetry and have their own beauty. So yeah, you're just watching me make a meh puppet, So I'm going around the nose here to get a coat on this nose, and you want to cover the foam completely, but if you missed something, I mean, there's no reason that you should, but if you do miss some, I'm going to have to put on my glasses here. But if you do miss some, you could, it's easy to correct later. But it's nice to have the whole thing coated so that when you're done and when it's dry, you can just, sand it. So, what I'll be doing here is when I'm done coating this, maybe I'll be speeding this up so that you're not bored. But when I'm done coating this, I'll have to let it set. And, I forget how long it takes. It shouldn't take more than a day or so to dry, but it will need to dry. And then once it's dried, then there's sanding to do, and then but before the sanding, there's probably some things I'll do. I'll maybe do some brows and some other things, and show while I'm at it, show you some other methods of working the medium or mediums on these simple puppets. This is going pretty well though. I have one that my son made, my youngest son. I have 5 sons. But I have one that my youngest son made. It's a farmer. I don't know if I gave it to him or if I have it in my case. It's a real character. I mean, he made it when I can't remember how old he was, but he was quite young when he made it. He's 30 now. But it's a puppet that you could tell that a kid made, and it's got a lot of character. This could probably go faster, if I wasn't so, I don't know, I'm kind of being a little meticulous on it. But I'm not in any hurry. Speaking of which, when I watch YouTube videos, I learn a lot on YouTube. That maybe this is why you're here. I hope it is. But if you're like me, there's a reason why YouTube has all these speeds. That you can speed it up because people speed through it, or they just time is pretty precious. So people tend to, you see something and you're like, let's just get right down to it. Let's get to the point. And they run through the video at double speed, or they scrub through it to get just to the place that they want. I do the same thing because that's the way we are with our time. And I fully understand. And the way that I talk, I mean, I talk slow, and in my mind, the dialogue in my brain flows. It's very fluid. It doesn't have all of the breaks, all of the hems and haws and other things that I see and hear when I play my videos back during editing. And so like everybody else, I try to edit out some of that stuff, but then, you know, maybe I shouldn't give a flippin' fig. It's just what it is. I mean, it depends on what you want to achieve. This is not a Hollywood, I'm not doing Hollywood productions. And, you know, what you see is what you get. So if I speed through this, you know, I have to put music. I have to like mute the sound and then put music or something, so that you don't so you don't hear me mumbling or going as it goes forward. This this paper mache it's actually sat quite a while I was setting up. I didn't know it was going to take me so long to set up, but you know, there's a lot to do, you know, in the setup. I'm, you know, I'm still learning, because you know, I've been YouTubing for a while, but you know, I'm not really consistent at it and whatnot, and I'm just learning you know, how to make the videos and stitch, you know, a couple things together and whatnot. And so way better than when I started. I couldn't do anything. But you know, as far as like equipment and stuff, you know, I put the lighting on and I'm like, oh gosh, this lighting is just not like hardly working at all. And it works, you know, in this another room, but when it gets near daylight, like this light that I have here on the side, it's really, I've got it going at 100%, and you know, it's making it, but there's you know, I could use more light. That's probably, that light over there probably would be good as a second light. Now that my second light that I have, in case you're wondering, not that I would think anybody is, but I have two Amran lights. That's the light on my left is I think it's a 60 SX Amran, and the one on my right is a MC25 Amran, little portable light. And no, they're good lights. I like them, but like I said, that one over here on my left is, you know, I'd rather have a strong light that's, you know, running at 60 or, you know, 65%, than one that's running the way that it is and barely, you know, barely doing it, or where I have to crank up the ISO or dial down the aperture. So this is coming along. When I'm done, I'll, you know, with this part, I'll have to give you a close-up so that you can see, you know, what it looks like, because it is rather crude, but it is taking shape. I started making puppets before I got married. I was fascinated with puppets. I just did some little puppet shows here and there, and you know, I would have liked to have figured out how to monetize it, but and this is a pity, you know. You love something and you're good at it, but unfortunately the way it works is that unless you can make money at it, you got to go do something else. And since I got married and we had 6 kids, there was no way, I had not figured out a way to monetize it and to feed my family. Now I have, if you could see this up close, I have a lot of buildup right here of the clay. So I'm gonna just use that to kind of form the cheeks. I didn't intend to do that, but since I've got it on this side and I see the cheeks kind of form, I'm gonna put some more clay on the other side and kind of form the cheek a little bit. And if I want more cheekbone and whatnot, after it's dry, you know, I'll show you how to do that. But for now, you know, since it's, like I said, since I kind of got that build up, I'm going to go ahead and put that cheekbone in because, you know, it's working. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to speed this up because it's taking a while. Here are my birds over here. I got 2 parakeets, and they're always talking. Yeah, the cheekbones aren't even, but what the heck? So I'm going to take the paper mache kind of down the neckline a little bit. And that'll, you know, I think that'll help it, you know, with the whole permanent seating. I maybe should have put some glue up into that chamber, but I don't think it's critical. I think the paper mache is going to hold it without any problem. So let me see how this works. I used to do it like this, you know, and then I'm probably at the point where I should have it on here so that I could work this neck. Yeah. Well, put any cloths on the table next to me. I have some paper towels over there, but I didn't put them next to me. I do need to kind of clean my hands off so that I can, because it's getting a little bit difficult. Yeah, looking at this from behind, wow. The ears, this ear is way bigger than that ear. Maybe I could, there you go. Well, it's just a matter of, maybe I can put some of this over here. Yeah. Okay. So the symmetry here, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do kind of want it like, that's just me, I want it to kind of look symmetrical. But I think I got a pretty good shape. I'm going to put a little bit, I'm adding a little bit more chin to make the chin a little bit more pronounced. And why not? And I got some, I just put a glob on here. And this could be done afterwards, you know, like I said, after it's dried. And I will show you, you know, how I add the features and whatnot after it's dry. Maybe other people do it this way. I don't know. I don't really know how other people build puppets. I only know pretty much how I do it. And this is like probably not my preferred method, but this is the method that, like I said, this is the method that I am using to teach so that others can get right into it, you know, including kids. But the method that I prefer, and like I said, maybe I'll make a puppet like that. It would take much more time, but the method that I prefer is when I, you know, get an idea for what I want to do. Start out with more of a plan. Here I didn't have any plan. You just did it, you know, but get an idea of what kind of a character that I want to make, and then sculpt that character in plasticine. And I'll, you know, probably show you one of those puppets down the line, because I'll probably do it now that I've done this. But I sculpt the character in plasticine, and then do the paper mache over the plasticine, and then, you know, when it dries, I remove it and whatnot from the, because the plasticine is heavy, it weighs 1 or 2 pounds. But it's a whole different method, and in those, you know, I spend a lot more time, and I do them layered with paper, not like this instant mache. And they take a lot more time. I usually use glass eyes with them that I buy from the, you know, hobby store. Or wherever. There's people that make really realistic glass eyes, but I usually, you know, don't use those. I usually use ones that I can just get at the hobby store. But these are fun. This is, I've made, you see these 3 puppets that I have here, but I may have said it already, but I've made several of these puppets. Several puppets like this. Several characters. I have an entire Punch and Judy troupe. You know, I've got the doctor, the hangman, a dog, policeman. I think I'm going to leave this here now. I think it looks pretty good. I'll take this over and let you see a close-up of it. I'll let that dry, and then we'll go from there. And that's it for this one.